3 million people have vanished from unemployment statistics in the last 5 years. But they didn't find traditional jobs. They became Uber drivers. And right now, they're all competing for the same $50 burrito delivery while the platforms quietly engineer the perfect economic pressure cooker. This isn't just about bad gig work anymore. It's about what happens when an entire labor market moves into the shadows. Our unemployment numbers look fantastic on paper near historic lows, but there's a massive blind spot in how we measure joblessness. When someone loses their corporate job, registering as an Uber driver is faster and easier than filing for unemployment. The Bureau of Labor Statistics shows 3 million fewer unemployed Americans over 5 years. Company filings reveal 3 million more active Uber drivers in that same period. This isn't a coincidence, a statistical shell game, and it's hiding something much bigger than bad metrics. The gig economy has become the employer of last resort for millions of Americans, masking what would otherwise look like a legitimate employment crisis. Here's where the math gets brutal. Every gig platform balances 3 groups: customers ordering food, restaurants making it, and drivers delivering it. Early on, these companies burned venture capital to make everyone happy, subsidized food for customers, generous splits for restaurants, and above minimum wage pay for drivers. But that era is over. Now the mission is profit extraction, and the math is simple. Customer revenue is up 35% in 2 years, but active workers are up 80%. Even with zero changes to revenue splits, there's just less money per driver. Factor in inflation, and conditions are deteriorating fast. The platforms know drivers are the easiest piece to squeeze. Lose too many customers, your business collapses. Lose too many restaurants, no inventory to sell. But drivers? There's a 3 million person waiting list of people who literally cannot find traditional employment. The warning signs are already here. Drivers report spending hours waiting between gigs. When work does come, the platform S-Cut has exploded a $64 LA ride, paying out just $12.43 to the driver. Tips, once considered tacky by Uber's own standards, are now aggressively pushed as the way drivers actually make money. Meanwhile, higher interest rates have killed competition. The blitzscaling playbook of burning billions to gain market share only worked when money was cheap. New competitors would need to cover not just operating losses, but interest payments 3 times higher than the incumbents faced. The market has consolidated, and now workers have nowhere else to go. Here's the nightmare scenario that's already playing out. If job losses accelerate, more people flood into gig work, creating more competition for the same gigs. But here, the vicious cycle: those newly unemployed people delivering for Uber Eats, also QAUN, afford to order from Uber Eats anymore. Demand falls while supply explodes. This is how every demand-side recession works. Layoffs lead to less spending, which leads to more layoffs. But gig work adds a terrifying accelerant. Traditional layoffs require paperwork, damage investor perception, and take time to implement. Gig work algorithms can instantly reduce hours and pay with zero friction. The automated nature of this employment throws gasoline on any economic slowdown. And here's the kicker: we don't even see it happening until it's too late. If Uber drivers were counted as employees, Uber alone would be the world's largest employer, bigger than Walmart, bigger than any defense department. But because they're independent contractors, mass income cuts don't show up in jobs reports. 5 years ago, America saw a massive spike in new business registrations. Headlines celebrated a surge in entrepreneurship. The reality: people who lost jobs were registering LLCs to work on Fiverr, Etsy, and Amazon Flex. YouTube uploads expanded significantly as people desperately sought income streams. This wasn't an entrepreneurial renaissance, it was economic displacement, dressed up with better branding. The actual unemployment crisis was just distributed across thousands of individual businesses. Instead of concentrated in traditional jobless claims, the metrics looked great. The reality was brutal. Want to see where this is headed? Look at China. After real estate and financial sector collapses created a youth unemployment crisis so severe the government stopped publishing the data. 200 million people flooded into gig work, 40% of the entire urban workforce. Workers now spend 10 hours waiting to earn what used to take 3 hours. Brightly colored delivery riders cluster outside shopping malls. In such massive groups, the VA become a visible symbol of economic distress. Some earn so little that even working 70-hour weeks won't cover basic living costs in major cities. Competition has become so fierce that rival app workers have gotten into physical altercations over gigs. The headline economic numbers still look acceptable. The lived reality is a disaster. And now we add the final accelerant, automation. Robotaxis, autonomous delivery vehicles, AI-generated content replacing creative work. The people most vulnerable in this system face an impossible choice. Either the AI bubble collapses and takes the economy down, killing demand for expensive delivery services, or the AI bubble succeeds and eliminates their jobs entirely. The platforms aren't trying to improve conditions for workers. They're racing to eliminate workers altogether. It's the logical endpoint when your business model depends on having a desperate, oversupplied labor force with no negotiating power. The gig economy isn't just a bad deal for the people trapped in it. It's becoming a systemic risk for everyone. When millions of workers exist in this shadow employment system, we lose the early warning signals that typically help us see economic problems before they become crises. Traditional employment, friction, the difficulty of mass layoffs, the visibility of unemployment claims, the time it takes to restructure these aren't just bureaucratic annoyances. They're economic circuit breakers. The gig economy has removed those circuit breakers while hiding the true state of the labor market. We've built a system where the employment statistics look great while millions barely survive, where economic downturns can accelerate instantly through automated algorithms, where an entire labor force exists in legal limbo with no safety net, no bargaining power, and no visibility to policymakers. The gig economy was sold as flexibility and freedom. What we've actually built is a high-speed economic pressure cooker with no release valve. And when it finally explodes, we won't see it coming because we designed the system to make sure we wouldn't. Next week, we're re-diving into the automation endgame and what happens when these platforms finally succeed at replacing workers entirely. Subscribe so you don't miss it. This story is far from over. It's just getting started.